Welcome to the August edition of Core Connection. As summer quickly nears its end, kids are returning or getting ready to return to school in many parts of the nation, and your U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is busy delivering engineering solutions for our toughest challenges, maintaining the nation's locks and dams, as well as working to control invasive species and provide safe recreational spaces throughout the U.S. It's another jam-packed episode, so without any further introduction, I'm your host, Patrick Bloodgood, and this is Core Connection. We begin this episode highlighting our military construction mission. First up, the Non-Commissioned Officer Academy at Fort Drum, New York has found itself with a new facility, thanks in part to our New York District.
The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers New York District is moving forward with projects at Fort Drum, New York. The Corps has recently completed a brand new NCO Academy where the U.S. Army will train non-commissioned officers. The new building replaced 17 scattered outbuildings where NCOs will get a professional military education. The newly constructed building now houses state-of-the-art facilities for both men and women NCOs. New classrooms will increase capability and enhance the learning experience for NCOs. A new indoor drilling and PT space provides necessary indoor space to escape the sometimes brutal outdoor conditions at Fort Drum. A new parade ground will allow NCOs to learn readiness, leadership management, and other Army leader competencies. This new NCO Academy, along with other New York District projects like the Fort Drum Railhead Project, a UAS hangar build-out, and the Guthrie Clinic Project, will ensure the Army 10th Mountain Division is ready to face the challenges of an ever-changing environment and keep the U.S. Army the most ready, versatile, and prepared military force in the world.
Across the Atlantic, USACE's Europe District supports our troops stationed abroad, overseeing the construction of facilities on U.S. installations throughout Europe, including installations in Italy. The partnership between U.S. Army Garrison Italy and the Europe District means soldiers and airmen stationed there continue to have state-of-the-art facilities on posts throughout the country.
Hi, I'm Colonel Dan Vogel, U.S. Army Garrison Italy Commander.
And I'm Colonel Pat Dagan, Commander of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Europe District.
As a Garrison Commander, one of my responsibilities is to provide quality of life and critical infrastructure to the members of our community. I'm excited to announce that we have over $600 million worth of construction projects planned and programmed to support our community members. We're proud to work alongside the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to provide quality infrastructure to the members of our community.
Working closely with the Garrison and our other partners, we're on pace to deliver dozens of projects over the next several years. These include renovated barracks for more than 150 soldiers, leasing of hundreds of housing units, upgrades to the fitness center, a new building for the Department of Public Works, new access roads and facilities at Lungari Army Base, and repairs to important projects that improve Army readiness, such as the jump tower in support of the 7th ATC. We're very proud to be part of this community and support this important strategic mission.
Moving back stateside, USACE's Charleston District is busy making the area's navigation channel the deepest on the East Coast. The Charleston Harbor Post 45 deepening project is under construction, and the district provides this update.
Charleston, South Carolina is on track to have the deepest harbor on the East Coast. Led by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Charleston District, the Harbor Deepening Project takes Charleston Harbor from 45 to 52 feet, making the harbor accessible to any ship at any tide. This also improves navigation and lowers the costs of consumer goods. Charleston Harbor is a key location for global trade and provides international connection to 100 foreign ports and is one of 17 military strategic U.S. ports. Charleston Port also ranked 8th in the nation in container traffic total value and is fueling economic development through South Carolina and the southeastern United States. The Charleston region is one of 8 nationwide, where in the next 40 years, 50% of the nation's population growth and 2/3 of its economic development is expected to occur. Since 2018, Charleston District has worked closely on construction with the South Carolina Ports Authority to deepen the harbor, a $63 billion per year economic engine which is directly responsible for 1 in 10 South Carolina jobs. In early 2021, Charleston District had as many as 9 dredges, a historic number, working around the clock simultaneously across 40 miles of harbor to complete the project by 2022. This deepening work begins 20 miles offshore in the entrance channel. Hopper dredges are being used for open deep sea dredging. This portion of the harbor will be deepened to 54 feet and extended by 3 miles. The project also includes an ocean-dredged material placement site and the creation of 2 33-acre limestone reefs. Jetties, which flank both sides of the harbor opening, continue to funnel tidal flow and improve navigation. These were constructed by the district in the 1880s. Mechanical clamshell dredges are deepening the lower portion of the harbor to 52 feet. There is also a separate project sponsored by the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources that allows for the beneficial use of dredge material to restore Crab Bank, a globally important shorebird habitat. Overall, the project removes about 40 million cubic yards, equivalent to 12,230 Olympic swimming pools, of dredged material from Charleston Harbor. This $600 million project is projected to return more than $6 to the economy for every dollar invested. The only other $600 million infrastructure project in the Lowcountry is one seen for miles, the Ravenel Bridge. The Wanda Welch Terminal is one of the nation's most productive container terminals. It handles container vessels of all sizes, but its cranes and wharf are specialized to handle 3 Neo-Panamax ships at one time, with a maximum capacity of handling vessels up to 20,000 TEU. 20,000 TEU is equivalent to transporting 20,000 shipping containers that are each 20 feet in length. Over the Cooper River, the South Carolina Ports Authority is completing construction of the state-of-the-art Hugh K. Leatherman Terminal that can also handle vessels up to 20,000 TEU. The dredging in the Cooper River will be performed by hydraulic cutter head suction dredges, which will pump material into upland placement areas such as those under Interstate 526. Charleston District has enhanced the fabric and resiliency of South Carolina through critical infrastructure projects over its 150-year history. This includes more than a century of dredging and modernizing Charleston Harbor since its first deepening to 21 feet in 1878. We look forward to continuing to develop and deliver engineering solutions today that help prepare for a better tomorrow.
Moving inland, our Nashville District worked to stabilize the shoreline near a historic cemetery along Old Hickory Lake near Nashville, Tennessee. The district provides this report.
The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Nashville District Maintenance Support Team completed a 4-day shoreline restoration project at Old Hickory Lake to preserve the historic Rock Castle Slave Cemetery in Hendersonville, Tennessee. The shoreline was carefully reshaped to prepare for the installation of 180 tons of riprap, about 5 feet deep, along 190 linear feet of shoreline, to prevent erosion caused by waves that would hit and undercut the banks as motor vehicles passed through the area.
When we got here, the bank was undermined. It was very obvious. We proceeded with cutting away back to the good soil, and then we started applying rock.
Maintenance personnel on board the motor vessel Iroquois and local park rangers were able to remove several large trees and other vegetation from the shoreline to create a clear and level surface for placement of the riprap.
This project started on Monday afternoon, July the 19th, and we were able to get it finished a lot quicker than what we had originally scheduled, just due to the conditions and being able to shove the barges up close to the bank a lot closer than what we had originally planned out and thought.
Archaeologists and park rangers with the Corps of Engineers have been monitoring the shoreline close to the historic Rock Castle Slave Cemetery for over 20 years to ensure preservation of the site.
For several years, they have been requesting to get federal funding to be able to shore up the lake line because there wasn't any type of stone or riprap that was here. Over time, you were having erosion and the bank kept creeping further and further back, such to a point that there was concern that it could eventually erode back to where some of the slaves from Rockcastle are buried. So in order to try to honor their burial place and their remains, this was a really important job to try to get this shored up and make sure that the bank doesn't erode back any further.
An archaeologist with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Louisville District oversaw the shoreline cleanup to guarantee cultural resources were undisturbed.
We've had different people with the Corps of Engineers archaeology section come out to try to survey the area around to make sure that there wasn't any bodies, but given how long ago they were buried and the condition that they were in, it's kind of difficult to determine. With the undercutting that's been happening to the lake, it's due mostly to boat traffic rocking up on the shores. It was just continuously undercutting, hitting this bank. And while it was believed that most of the slaves were buried a little bit further up the bank, it wasn't certain. And so that was what we were here to prevent from getting any worse.
The Corps of Engineers understands the cultural dynamic of the cemetery and takes great pride in being part of this important bank stabilization project.
I always like being able to produce a product that our stakeholders can share and view and see that we are making a difference in what we do. It just feels good to do something like this.
The project cost approximately $90,000 in federal funding and kept the number of graves at the cemetery from falling into the lake. Turning our attention from construction efforts to ecosystems, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers continues to look after our environment through multiple programs and initiatives throughout the country. One such initiative is working to keep invasive species at bay, like the work the Buffalo District is doing in Mentor Marsh near the city of Mentor, Ohio.
Hi, my name is Lex Barker. I'm a project manager at the Army Corps of Engineers Buffalo District. The project is Mentor Marsh Flowering Rush Control. We've partnered with the Cleveland Museum of Natural History. This is the second year of the Flowering Rush Control. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. David Kriska to talk more about the Flowering Rush Control.
Thanks, Lex. Hey, I'm Dr. David Kriska. Nice to be here. This is a great partnership. This is the Mentor Marsh behind us. About several years ago, this was the largest stand of Phragmites grass in the state of Ohio. Phragmites grass, it's just a really tall grass we see along our highways, like 24 feet tall. There was a salt spill back in the 60s. Long story short, it took over the entire marsh. And several years ago, we got serious about it. And while we're doing it, we started to have some really good control, and all these native plants started coming back, including flowering rush, which isn't a native. And the first year we tried pulling it, 2 canoe loads. The next year, 4 canoe loads. The third year, 8 canoe loads. And that's when we realized we were way over our heads. And that's when we reached out to Lex and the Army Corps for help with the flowering rush, since they had that. And it's been a great partnership. This is our, like Lex said, this is our second year, and we have a crew that we hire specifically to come out and work on treating that plant so that we can keep it in check and let this project go forward, this restoration project, which now is nationally recognized. So we really thank the Army Corps for their help, and it's been a great partnership.
Thank you, David. Appreciate the explanation. Again, Army Corps of Engineers Buffalo District, Cleveland Museum of Natural History. We're removing the invasive flowering rush. We are Army Corps of Engineers, and we are building strong.
Keeping non-native species out of the ecosystem is a job that we can all take part in. Individuals have a responsibility to help the environment by not introducing non-natives to new areas. Our St. Paul district has these tips to keep aquatic non-native species from establishing new homes in our nation's lakes.
Hi, my name is Ranger Nicole, and I work for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, St. Paul District. I'm here at Gull Lake Recreation Area today, talking to you about the importance of protecting our lakes from aquatic invasive species. So when you are coming out onto our lakes, it's important to check your vessel before and after you go into the water. There are a lot of areas that those aquatic invasives, whether it be a plant like Eurasian water milfoil or an animal like a zebra mussel, that they can hide on your trailer or your boat. So you want to make sure you check over all of those areas. So always remember to clean, drain, dry, and dispose. Cleaning, of course, like I said, checking your trailer, really getting underneath there to make sure nothing's hanging on anywhere on your trailer, as well as sticking to your boat. So you're cleaning everything off around your motors and whatnot. But make sure you're also draining. So you want to pull that drain plug out after you're out of the water. Let any of that extra water out. It's good to drop your motors down so that way gravity can help pull all that excess water coming out of your motors as well, and drain your live wells, anything that you're going to have water coming off of the lake. You want to get that all out. So that's the drain part. Dry, of course, is when you get home. You want to let it sit out. You don't want to take that boat into another water that you could then be carrying something and infesting another body of water here. Last part, dispose of, that's talking about your bait here. Now, if you took your little bait bucket and put it into an infested water, then it's recommended to dump out that bait in the trash and not carry it to another water. Here at the St. Paul District, we actually own 2 decontamination units, and that's what is sitting behind me here. We also partner with other agencies such as the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, local counties, local lake associations, and some of them also have their own decontamination units that might be utilized at our landings to keep our waters protected. Decontamination unit can only be operated by a certified aquatic invasives inspector. And what they do is they fire this thing up. We've got superheated water. They're going to wash your whole boat and trailer down, get any of those invasives off, and that way we know it is safe for your vessel to move on to another water.
While not a non-native, algal blooms pose a significant threat to the health of an estuary and cause health problems in humans and animals. Our Engineering Research and Development Center has partnered with academia to research how best to handle this noxious problem.
HABs are an overgrowth of harmful algae. There's a couple different species that are of concern in the United States, and many will produce harmful toxins that can be harmful to the ecosystem, humans, animal life. It also causes severe economic damages to recreation and tourism, totaling over $1 billion a year. The Corps of Engineers owns and operates over 400 water management projects across the country, which also experiences great impact from harmful algal blooms as related to water management, but then also recreation and tourism, also hydropower. So there's a plethora of reasons of why the Corps has been engaged in this topic, and hopefully will remain engaged for years to come. Harmful algal blooms are just such a huge and devastating issue to our nation. It is evident that we will not solve this problem by ourselves. And so in order for us to answer this question and work towards a solution, we have got to partner with other academic institutions, regional experts, federal agencies, state and local authorities, and they are working with us to create and build upon new management and also detection methods and strategies that can be used in regions throughout the country.
The project is having the 2 major parts. The first part of the project is for the early detection of the harmful algal bloom, and the second part of the project is for the treatment and mitigation of the harmful algal bloom. So for the first part of the project, we are using advanced sensor techniques and molecular biology techniques to understand what triggers harmful algal bloom. At the same time, what are the influence of the other microorganisms in the lake and how they affect the harmful algal bloom. So the sensor system we are going to use can detect the conditions of the cyanobacteria bloom, and then we can actually inform the water treatment plan in advance to enhance their treatment capacity. Second part of the project is focusing on remediation of the harmful algal bloom. So we are proposing to use bio-inspired treatment method. So that includes the viruses that can kill the harmful algal bloom, and good bacteria that can degrade the cyanotoxin released from the harmful algal bloom. We are really excited that our proposed method and the new techniques can make the real changes for the water utilities and also the water quality in the lake.
Harmful algal blooms have impacted recreational and drinking waters throughout our country. Our research will help provide answers on how harmful algal blooms can be controlled and perhaps even prevented. From Lake Erie to the Ohio River and at numerous lakes in between, harmful algal blooms have impacted our waterways. Similarly, from the West Coast and California down south to Florida, harmful algal blooms are just everywhere. These blooms are affecting our beaches, our recreational waters, charter boats, tourism, our economy, and even our drinking water. And so I think it's vitally important that we work to control and find answers to these problems. We received our funding in March and immediately started working on our controlled temperature algicide experiments. We are also setting up our lab experiments for our ozone nanobubble trials and are excited to get out to Sylvan Lake and do our first in-lake trial this summer and are doing some work to set that up. This is a 3-year project, so in year 2 we will also be conducting mesocosm trials at sites like this, the Olentangy River Wetland Research Park, and also we'll be doing additional field trials, hopefully getting out to some state park lakes, and doing additional trials in the real world. Finally, in year 3, we hope to get out to some of our public water supply lakes to do testing there. Successful outcomes of this project include, 1, having a better understanding of algicides and whether they're effective at all at lower temperatures and can be used as a control strategy. Next, we really hope to have a better understanding of how ozone nanobubbles work, whether they are effective and can be scaled up, and if they provide a good alternate cost-effective approach for combating harmful algal blooms. And finally, the ultimate objective would be to have cleaner lakes.
One of the reasons I think that the ERDIC was brought to the table is because we have the authorities to work in these areas, but then we also do have a wide array of researchers and expertise here that can bring a holistic approach to the table. Internally, we've started projects related to prevention, detection, and management of harmful algal blooms. And all of those projects are really being led by a very diverse workforce. Everything from risk assessment, biologists, to chemical engineers, everybody's coming to the table with these things. It's been really cool and really exciting for us. Every time I come off of one of our meetings where we're bringing collaborators to the table and we have real discussions that are meaningful, that just like renews our energy, right? You feel like you're doing something good. You feel like you're really moving the science forward in a way that it needs to.
Moving from our work in the environment onto our day-to-day operations, millions of Americans visit a core lake or navigate through USACE locks and around USACE dams. Last month, we highlighted the efforts that Pittsburgh District were doing to make boaters aware of dams downstream. This month, St. Paul District informs us on what to do should you find your vessel coming dangerously close to a USACE dam.
All right, so our restricted area is 600 feet above our dam. If you find yourself drifting into our restricted area, make sure you stay calm, put on your life jacket, and throw out your anchor. That's why it's important to have your anchor readily available and with enough line that you can throw your anchor out and stop yourself from drifting into the dam. If you do continue and drift down to our dam, make sure that you notify us in some way, either via radio or phone, and we will call 911 to try to get someone on the water to help give you assistance. And at the same time, we will be running over to the river wall, and we're going to try to throw lines out to you, life rings if we can. We have extra long throw lines to try to give you whatever assistance we can from the wall. While one of us is doing that, we'll have the other one going up onto the bridge and closing the dam gates to try to mitigate the risk from the dam. If you do float all the way down to the dam gates, make sure that you grab onto one of the lifelines that are hanging from the bridge. If your boat gets sucked under, you can at least grab onto those lines and try to save yourself. And we'll have those gates closed as fast as we can, and hopefully we can have the water rescue come and get you.
Whenever you hit the water in a vessel, it is imperative that you operate in a safe manner. We return to our Pittsburgh District this month as their lead river ranger talks to us about ways to be safe while operating a boat or personal watercraft.
My name name is Michaela Newman, and I am the lead river ranger for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Pittsburgh District. I'm here to talk with you today a little bit about water safety. So one of the most important things to remember is what we like to call our no, take, wear message. It is know the waterways, take a safe boating course, and always wear a life jacket. You never know what can happen out there. Here in the Pittsburgh District, we have a lot of what we like to call fixed crest dams. When you are above these dams, it is very hard to see them, and they are dangerous. Please be wary of any buoys or warning markers, and just know the waterways ahead of time, like know what you're going into. And finally, one last thing to remember is to be wary of yourself, other recreation boaters, and commercial traffic. Barges are much larger than rec boats, and they don't have the ability to stop or move like you do. Please give them the space and the right of way when possible. On behalf of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Pittsburgh District, we want to wish you a safe summer and stay safe out there.
While we often talk water safety here at USACE, the Corps also maintains campgrounds surrounding the lakes and reservoirs we operate. With that in mind, our St. Paul District highlights what you should do if you find yourself roughing it when severe weather strikes.
Hi, I'm Ranger Carlin, and this is Ranger Meyer. We are park rangers with the Army Corps of Engineers St. Paul District, and we're going to be talking about camping in severe weather. Always look ahead at the forecast before planning a camping trip. There is nothing worse than sitting in your tent soaking wet. Make sure to pack multiple spare, dry clothing items and a rain jacket. Make sure to be aware of the campground's storm shelter location and the county you are in. Bring a cell phone or radio to keep tabs on weather conditions.
Do not set your tent up under a hazardous tree limb. Pack flashlights or lanterns if power goes out, and if you're a first-time camper, don't camp too far away from home in case camping trips get cut short due to severe weather. Safety should always be your #1 priority.
Though many of our recreational areas are free to use, there are spots like campsites, pavilions, and boat ramps which charge a fee. We stay with the St. Paul District as they show us new fee machines they are deploying to make paying for those areas easier.
Every year, we receive thousands of visitors here at our park. But did you know that you are required to pay a small fee for utilizing parts of the area? For example, you have to pay a fee to use the boat ramps, for showers, and for dump stations. You may have noticed in the past that there have been small brown boxes for you to put cash into. Due to COVID-19, we have since changed this policy and are now using fee machines. These machines are located at the entrance to most campsites. You can get to them by walking or by driving up in your vehicle. With this machine, all you have to do is use the buttons on the right-hand side to select your option. So you can go to option A, B, C, or D to choose a boat launch, a dump station, a shower fee, or to choose an annual pass. So once you select the option that you want to pay for, simply insert your card right here, and then the receipt will pop out the bottom.
The Los Angeles District is working to protect the local ecosystem and endangered species within one of its spillways, which also is a popular spot for off-road enthusiasts. The district explains why off-roading is not allowed in the Deep Creek Spillway near Apple Valley, California.
Hi everyone, my name is Henry Sapos, and I'm a park ranger with the Los Angeles District of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. We're out here at Mojave Dam today to spread the word to the community that off-road vehicle recreation is not allowed in this area. Though this might seem like a really nice area to bring your four-wheeler or your off-road vehicle, the area is actually closed to protect this little guy right here, the arroyo toad. The arroyo toad is an endangered species. In the early 2000s, there were only about 3,000 of these guys left in existence. And so we want to make sure that we're protecting the place where they live. We don't want anyone running over their home with their vehicle because, you know, how would it feel if someone came into your home and destroyed it? So, yeah, we're just out here to spread the word to the public and let everybody know that you can't be off-roading out here. Thanks a lot.
With the height of hurricane season just 1 month away and the threat of inland flooding always at risk, Districts within USACE continue to stay ready to jump into action should the need to respond arise. The Tulsa District recently held emergency operations training to make sure they are ready for the next disaster.
The Tulsa District's Emergency Management Office recently hosted a disaster response exercise with Tulsa first responders and helping agencies. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers initiative brought together representatives from Tulsa response agencies to improve interoperability.
We're doing a tabletop exercise for the Keystone Dam and Tulsa West Tulsa Levee. The goal is to test our plans and procedures and our operations and to develop risk communication strategies during an emergency operation.
Developing relationships with local first responders and helping agencies is key to disaster response efforts, and practicing in the present pays dividends in the future.
This is necessary as part of our overall planning process. We take the information gathered from events such as this to help refine and improve our plans so that during an actual disaster, we know that we're going into it as well planned and as well thought out as possible for our response. So what you're seeing here today is actually the precursor to an effective response tomorrow.
In addition to developing disaster response plans, the tabletop exercise ensures planning and coordination practices are up to date and efficient.
We'll take analysis from engineering, from the Corps of Engineers, from the Tulsa Emergency Management, police, fire, health, leadership such as the mayor's office, and develop ways that we can work together to more effectively protect our communities.
And protecting those communities begins with identifying the people who need to be in the room advising leaders.
Really at this level, what we do at emergency management is we're not the ones who solve all the problems of the world. We're the people that bring the smart people together and get them talking to one another and let them solve the problems. That's really what this really does. This helps let these individuals know that during an actual flood event or any other type of disaster event, they will be required and requested to come down to the Emergency Operations Center in order to help provide their money, their manpower, and their materials to help alleviate and solve the problems caused by any sort of disaster in order to preserve life safety, stabilize the incident, and protect properties.
During the 2019 flood, Keystone Dam released enough water to fill and empty Keystone Lake 8 times. The district provided consultation and technical assistance, monitoring and shoring up the Tulsa West Tulsa Levee, which is more than 3/4 of a century old. But despite the presence of flood control structures like Keystone Dam, safety starts with preparedness.
Always understand there's a flood risk downstream. Just because the dam is upstream, in this case Keystone, doesn't mean that the downstream reach is immune from flooding. Floods can and do occur. We've seen that recently, and so it's always important to plan for the next flood.
Reporting from Tulsa, I'm Brandon Parrish.
Though most of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is comprised of civilian employees, the organization is still overseen by military officers and has enlisted personnel within its ranks. These uniformed servicemen and women are required to maintain the Army's physical fitness standards, including the Army's new combat fitness test. Our Transatlantic Division commander and staff took a first-hand look at exactly what the ACFT is comprised of.
We work together to become, more fit and more ready to support our Army and our nation.
Get ready. Go.
I'm Kim Colleton. I'm the commander for the Transatlantic Division for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and we're out here in the great city of Winchester, Virginia, barring our local high schools track and field, to do our ACFT familiarization and diagnostic testing, as well as get some of our own officers and NCOs certified to be graders. So it's been a beautiful morning, sun's out, everybody's out.
But this is a different animal. I mean, you're using muscles that you definitely did not use in the old physical fitness test. And when you combine all of the 6 pieces together, you really get to see where your body is at physically, in terms of physical strength.
136, 37, 38.
So the ACFT is comprised of 6 events. It starts with a
3-rep max deadlift, and then goes into a standing power throw. The next exercise is the hand release push-up, then a sprint drag carry, the leg tuck and plank event, followed by a cardio event. My name is Staff Sergeant Favazzo with the 249th Engineer Battalion, and what we're doing here today is conducting the ACFT and certifying graders. As the number of soldiers take for this group for their first time, they're doing a really good job. They're very motivated to come out here and learn and make sure that they're doing everything correctly and to the standard. So we just got started here, so we'll see how everybody did. I think that everybody's doing better than they expect.
Oh man, it's kind of brutal, but it's a great test. I think it's a great overall test of my my physical fitness. 545.
There it is. Okay.
And finally, we want to recognize the 60th anniversary of the Cold Regions Research Engineering Lab in Hanover, New Hampshire. The center applies science and engineering to complex environments, materials, and processes in all seasons and climates, but with a unique core competencies related to the Earth's coldest regions.
Our vision is to be the nation's laboratory, the go-to place when you have challenges related to cold and extreme regions of the planet. We've had a lot of support to upgrade our facilities, and we're doing some amazing scientific and engineering research here. And so I feel like we're on the right pathway going into the future with the laboratory.
So my degree is in ocean engineering. I can't say I envision doing oil mitigation and oil recovery, but I've been fortunate enough to get involved in some really cool aspects here at Crell. I love doing this kind of stuff. My favorite stuff for research is the hands-on aspects, so anytime I get to whip out a chainsaw or I'm up to my elbows in crude oil, it's just a good time. So I enjoy it a lot.
I like a challenge, and I like change. And it was pretty obvious to me upon learning about ERDIC that there was a lot of really unique challenges, and it was a dynamic changing environment that had a lot of really meaningful impacts for both our civilian and military sectors, and that really appeals with me.
In general, I'm trying to take the laboratory from here and lift it up to here in order to have our scientists and engineers and technicians ready, prepared, and resourced to help our nation answer some really big, challenging questions as we go into the future.
That does it for this edition of Core Connection. I'll see you next month as we continue to highlight the work your U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is doing around the world. I'm Patrick Bloodgood, and this has been Core Connection.